Good afternoon, 4th grade. We are going to continue reading in Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, Chapter 23. First, you have a quick write. It says, have you ever had to give something away that you loved? Why did you do it? How did you feel? Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the vocabulary. Our focus question says, how does Min Lee's interaction with the king change her ideas about value? And we have 3 vocabulary words. The first word is generous. That's when you give something away. You are generous. Draw a line to this picture. The second one is gratitude. That's when you are thankful for someone's kindness. Draw a line to the thank you note. And the third one is consult. That's when you get information or advice. And this doctor is calling someone on the phone to consult or get advice about someone's x-rays. Draw a line from the word to the picture and turn the page. And we are going to get started reading on page 139. And instead of doing CSPS, we have 4 questions that we want to answer. And so Min Lee and the king are walking through the garden, and she's telling him all about her journey and how she needs to get the borrowed line. And the king thinks he knows what she's referring to, but he tells her, we should go ahead and eat before our food gets cold. All right, so turn the page, and we're on page 35, where he says, I'm not sure what the borrowed line is that you're looking for. All right, and the first question we want to know is, what is the borrowed line? I'm not sure what the borrowed line is that you are looking for, the king told Min Lee as he sipped his tea. They had finished eating the main meal, and she was enjoying a turtle-shaped cake filled with sweet and soft red bean paste. The taste not known to her before. As she swallowed, its richness seemed to warm her from her throat to her stomach. But I think I can guess. With great effort, Min Lee stopped eating and looked at him. You can? She asked. And suddenly a hope filled her. What do you think it is? Do you know why this city is called the City of Bright Moonlight? The king asked. Min Lee shook her head. My great-great-grandfather changed the name of the city. It used to be called the City of the Far Remote, but after he came to power, he changed it to the City of Bright Moonlight, the king said. Most people thought it was because he had a poetic heart, but it's more than that. Turn the page. Have you ever heard the story of the magistrate that tried to outwit the old man of the moon? Min Lee nodded. He tried to kill his son's destined wife, but they ended up together anyway. Ah, you know the story, the king smiled. That magistrate was my great-great-grandfather's father, and this city is the city that his son became king of through the marriage. So the story is real, Min Lee said. Well, it is a story that has been passed down through my family for generations, the king said, but there's more to it than what most have heard. And then he tells her the unknown part of the story of the old man of the moon. After the old man of the moon told the magistrate that his son would marry the daughter of a grocer, Magistrate Tiger flew into a rage. With both hands he grabbed the page and tore it from the book. But before he could rip the page in two, the old man stared into his, and the light of the moon seemed to blind the magistrate still. As the silence hung in the air, Magistrate Tiger's anger turned into fear. But finally the old man of the moon nodded at him grimly. Pages of the Book of Fortune do not tear easily. But that paper was being sent to you before I borrowed it, the old man said. So perhaps it is only fitting that you finally receive it. Take it. The book has bestowed some extra qualities to it, though they will be as useless to you as the original paper would have been. And without another word, the old man of the moon stood up and walked away up the mountain. The magistrate could do nothing but stare, clutching the ripped paper in dumbfounded silence. "He tore a book out of the book of fortune?" Minli said. "Yes," the king said, "but he himself was never able to read it, so it remained useless to him, just as the old man of the moon had said." Let's keep going. "Come," the king said, as he walked out of the pavilion into the bridge under the moon. As Minli followed, he reached inside the breast of his shirt and slowly took out a gold-threaded pouch and said, "This is the ripped page. It has been passed down from generation to generation, studied by the kings of the city of bright moonlight. None of us has ever understood what the old man of the moon meant when he said it was borrowed." Minli watched fascinated as the king took from the gold pouch a delicate folded piece of paper, paler than even the white jade tofu she had eaten for dinner. The paper seemed to have a light of its own, dimming the gold threads of the pouch that held it. "It was my great-great-grandfather," the king said, unfolding the paper, "who realized that the words on it can only be seen in the bright moonlight. He renamed the city of bright moonlight, as a reminder for the kings that followed him." Minli looked at the paper as if in a daze. In the moonlight, the paper glowed. A single line of faint words, as if written with shadows, was scrawled upon the page of the language in a language Minli had never seen. "So I think this paper, which the old man of the moon said he borrowed," the king said, "is this written line from the book of fortune is the borrowed line you seek." "Of course," Minli said, and excitement bubbled inside her. "It must be." But her excitement popped as she looked at the carefully preserved page and remembered how the king had had it on his person, carefully and preciously kept in a pouch around his neck. It seemed impossible that he would give her such a cherished treasure. "It was only after much study that my great-great-grandfather was able to decipher the words," the king said, "and that when he realized that the words changed according to the situation at the time. From then on, whenever a king of the city of bright moonlight has had a problem, he consults the paper." And we'll stop right there. So question 1 asks us, what is the borrowed line and what is its purpose? And we know on page 139 that the borrowed line is a page taken from the book of fortune. It was supposed to go to Magistrate Tiger, but the old man of the moon borrowed it. Press pause to write down your answer in 1A and play when you're ready to move on. We're not going to do the quotes today, but make sure you have this quote underlined on page 137. Press pause to underline the quote on page 137 and play when you're ready to keep going. 2A asks us, how do different people feel about the borrowed line? Okay, and if we keep going back to page 138, the borrowed line was useless to Magistrate Tiger, but it's been passed down. But it's been passed down from generation to generation in the king's family. So in 2A, we would write, Magistrate Tiger could not read the borrowed line, but instead he passed it down to his son. It stayed in the royal family for generations until the king's great-great-grandfather figured out how to read it. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for number 3. All right, now we're on number 3. Why has the royal family valued the borrowed line for years? And if we go back down to the bottom of page 139, to the bottom of page 139, we know that the borrowed line gives the king's family advice when they have problems. So in box 3A, we would write down, the royal family valued the borrowed line because in the moonlight, the words change on the paper and help the kings solve their problems. Silently write down your answer in 3A. Press pause and press play when you're ready to keep going. And make sure you have this quote underlined on page 139. Box 4 says, why does Min Lee want the borrowed line? And we know that she wants the borrowed line because she needs to take it to the old man of the moon so that she can change her family's fortune. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you are ready for the paragraph. For your paragraph, you need to describe the value of the borrowed line to the king and his family. You can use box 3 to help you write your answer.